Today we handled a bunch of different situations, tried to clean up some stuff from the game, and yet still try to get a good padded practice in. Any questions?
Coach, is it strange or maybe unusual playing a team in the preseason that you face again in the regular season?
I would say it happens maybe more often than you think. Look, we've had, if we went back in 13 years, I'd say it probably happened 6 or 7 times. We've actually practiced with the team and played them and then had a regular season game. So I don't think it's that unusual. Those guys are going to be trying to get certain things done in their 4th game, and no different than us. There's certain things that are going to be important to us in this game.
What is the message, to a lot of these guys that are on the bubble competing for a spot?
I think they understand the message, and obviously the kicking game's important. It's a final look, and I've said this before. It's not just for the Saints, but you're putting your product out there for all the other teams. So when we were watching Austin Carr, we saw his 4th preseason game. When we were watching Taysom Hill, we saw his 4th preseason. Those are guys that we claimed. So I think it's important not only for the team you're competing with, we're competing to make. It's also important for the 31 other teams.
Sean, what are you hoping to see from JT in this last preseason game?
Look, he's been functioning well. He'll get reps in this game. Just the ability to get in and out of the huddle and move the team. But he'll get some good work.
How has Cam Meredith picked things up?
He's picked it up well. The key is just he's a little behind just because of the injury, but he's moving around real well. He's a quick learner, so he'll get quite a bit of work. Guys that maybe haven't had the snaps because of injury, we'll try to get more snaps in this game.
You're looking at maybe the same thing with Marcus Davenport. You want to see him get some
yeah, same way. He would get some work too. Those are guys we have to get. Have to give him reps.
How do you do after looking at the tape?
Not bad. I mean, he had some good plays. There's some things that he's got to correct. His pad level was high, which isn't that unusual, in his first game. But he was active on a handful of plays, and so it'll be another good week for him and another game for him.
Sean, what are some of the traits that make Alvin a good screen runner?
I think he's got good vision, patience. Generally a good screen runner is pretty smart, and so the looks can change. Sometimes it's a pressure look, sometimes a softer zone look. But generally for him, there aren't many times where he does something that surprises you, and I think that's a good trait as a running back. But I think, having a little bit of savvy and football awareness goes into that.
John, in this point in the process, what's the most difficult part of the evaluation process and splitting hairs with some of these players?
It's a good question. I think, look, the vision, how we see ourselves using the player, how many snaps can we expect in a game? Do they play on special teams? There's a lot that goes into it, and there's a number of decisions that we're still working through.
Is there a difference between deciding the 46 that are going to play on game day and those other 7?
No, but those 46, though, when you go through this equation, it would be very normal at some point in the conversation as you're discussing the 53 to say, all right, who do we expect to be up for Tampa Bay? Who would be the inactives? That would be a normal question to ask in this process. It's not the first one, but it comes up.
You've been looking at the way the new helmet rule's been enforced, and does it surprise you at all?
No, I mean, clearly this past weekend it changed, and I think for the better, and I think that the key and one of the objectives is to try to make the game simpler for the officials to officiate. And so I think that this past weekend, we saw a little bit of a change in the specific plays that we're trying to eliminate versus maybe some of the gray area plays where guys are playing football and trying to do the right thing, and and their helmets collide. So I think that, and I said this at the beginning of the process, I think as we get into the season, we're going to be better for the rule, and I think it's going to be a little bit clearer and a little bit easier to officiate.
How tough are the roster decisions when you have to maybe compare, a draft pick to, either a veteran that can help you this year or an undrafted guy, just knowing that you want to see them all develop, but
yeah, all of that factors in. That's part of the equation and part of the challenge. We really try to go by what we see once they're here, and that's all the practice tape. It's all the preseason game tape, and then arrive at what we think is the best decision.
I know that you referenced Austin's car his last game last year, and you talked about seeing Payton on film last year. Are you paying attention to guys on other rosters now, or is it just your roster, and then you'll pay attention to guys?
Well, it's a great question. We're evaluating every roster throughout the preseason. Like our whole pro department will watch this whole week the games that were just played and evaluate what they think might be players that come available. Now, look, when Friday and Saturday come and you get the final cut downs, those are some long nights because there might be a few players that you're going to look at a profile tape on to see what you think. You only have really that one evening, but we do have grades on those players. So let's just say there's a rookie 6th round pick with Team A that gets released. There's a college grade on that player, but there would now be another grade based on what they've seen in the 4 preseason games.
The former right tackle said earlier today that this is the deepest roster you've ever had here. Do you agree with that?
Well, I have to ask, it's either Stinchcomb or Streif, so there's 2 of them.
I know who it is. The
Streif?
most recent.
Yeah, all right. I don't, it's hard for me to recall. I mean, we've had depth at times, at certain positions I would agree with that, and then at other positions I would disagree. There's certain positions maybe that I'd like to be further along with where we're at, and yet we're still developing. So without getting into the specifics, I think that following up on success from a year ago, there's a few new additions. I think that it makes this week a more challenging week, and yet we'll see how this thing shapes up.
How difficult is it to kind of release a player that can play in the league, but you just don't have the numbers for?
But look, it's always difficult releasing any player, and certainly good football players that have been here throughout the off-season program, players that may have been on the team a year ago. I mean, that's always the hard part of what we do right now.
What are some of the things that need to happen for the run defense to get where you want it to be?
Listen, it starts with pad level and playing the defense correctly with the right gap. Today we had a little bit of an emphasis in the running game, and we'll continue to do that. But that's something that is technique A and then B assignment.
What have you seen out of Taylor Stallworth so far?
He's young, he's athletic. He's a player that we think is developing, so we think he's still getting better. It's getting used to when you step up from maybe going with the seconds to the thirds, and all of a sudden you're going against the first groups around the league, it becomes a little bit more challenging. So, but he's a young developing player.
Sean, I think around draft time, one thing that you said that stuck out to me was one of the worst mistakes you can make is doubling down on a player that might not have lived up to the expectation that you had.
Well, in the point being, really we got to pay attention to what we've seen, and some of the best decisions we've made have been a free agent over a draft pick. That happened with Pierre Thomas. That's happened in a number of cases. So we'll look at all those battles pretty closely and come up with the best decisions that we think help this team and the right 53.
How does Thursday fit into the return game reality series, if you will?
It's important. It's more snaps. More snaps to take a look at these guys.
Sean, when you evaluate a mobile quarterback like Taysom,
how do you evaluate when he takes off and runs and maybe he should have found a guy downfield?
Well, I think one of the things we talked about going into this past game was, look, we don't want to discourage some of the things that he does very well, and yet, there's a part of the game coming to him and not pressing it each time. I thought he made some good decisions in the pocket. Tight red zone throw for a touchdown was a plus. And look, the number one objective is to move the offense, and it's not in one play. You have more than one play, and so he was better with ball security, and we got the ball in the end zone a few times, and there was a comfort level he had, and I think that second game just haven't had the first one behind him. Even with Tom the same way. Both of those guys I thought played better last week than the week prior.
Guys, kind of crazy question. If the answer is just no, it's no. Have you ever thought of utilizing him on special teams, of utilizing him in other capacities on offense, like a Cordell Stewart type early?
No, we have. Listen, it's a good question. We've talked before about, he's big and he's athletic, and so there are a lot of things he can do. He's smart, and the key is coming up with that balance while he develops as a quarterback. And it's hard to develop as a quarterback if you're playing all your special team snaps and then working as a tight end, so it's got to be game specific, but he does provide some flexibility there. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.
You're playing a team in the preseason that you're going to be facing in the regular season. Has that happened to you before in your career?
Yes. Several times I played a team in the preseason that we played later in the year. You kind of take it for the personnel usually. Usually a lot of times the schemes aren't the same. Sometimes they are. But being the preseason, you never know how people are going to play it. I mean, fortunately, usually when you play a team the second time, you've had a little bit of body of work of the season to kind of see their tendencies later, and it's always a different game. So you cross that bridge when you come to it.
And particularly with this team, it's a team that a lot of people are expecting, like y'all, to do well, and maybe you see them in the playoffs or anything like that. Does that kind of change the focus of the goal?
Well, I think the goal right now for us is improving upon last week. There were some things we did well, some things we need to improve on. I'm sure Coach may have mentioned it, but running the ball, establishing the run, stopping the run, those are all things that we want to build on from last week going into this game. And so it's another opportunity. It's a training camp opportunity. We're still in camp. Contrary to popular belief, we're still in camp and we're still working on fundamentals. We're still building this team, whatever that final roster is going to be. We're all vying for those spots, and this is one last opportunity to earn that spot.
Ben, being a vet in this league, I'm sure there's younger guys that probably come up to you, especially around this time, that want to know not only how you lasted this long, but in order to be able to make a team for guys that are on the bubble. What advice do you give guys like that might come up to you and ask?
Yeah, really, it's about consistency. There's no substitute for hard work, and there's no substitute for hard work every single day. Each day may be different. You may have a day that's you didn't play very well at practice, but how do you respond to that poor day? Everybody, even the greats, have days that they wish that they could take back. And so my message to the young guys and to myself is forget about yesterday, forget about tomorrow, deal with today. And specifically when it comes to rosters, look, it's a business, as we say, and it's a tough period between now and next week this time for everybody. People that have to make decisions, people that make the squad, people that don't make the squad, families that are involved, parents, kids. It's tough for everybody. But one thing we always say is that everybody watches the film. Whether you're a starter, whether you're a backup, whatever it is, with the guy that makes it or not, everybody's watching this film. So you're performing, yes, for the Saints. You're trying to make the Saints team. We all are trying to make the Saints because we want to be here in New Orleans. But the truth of the matter is there are a lot of guys that end up on other rosters from this team, and other teams will be here because all of the scouts see the film. And so I guess the major thing is control what you can control.
in your experience, with the coaches that you've been with, do they ever come to players at times when it comes down to those bubble guys where maybe they just want an outside opinion?
I've had both. I've had coaches in the past that, they don't come to players on any personnel decisions. I've had some coaches who ask guys' opinions about certain players, what we think, what we've seen in practice, how we think those guys can perform in different capacities. Ultimately, obviously, the coaches make the decisions. It's the GM, the head scout, they make those decisions, and most of the time as players, we're out of that realm. That's not in our job description.
Ben, as a tight end, I'm sure you've caught a lot, seen a lot. What makes the seam route so deadly?
The seam route, you said?
Yeah, in this offense. What makes it so deadly?
The guy throwing it, honestly. The guy throwing it. Nothing can be done without this guy throwing it. And the way he's able to look off the defenders. A lot of times you talk to defenders, they read the quarterback's eyes. If you got a high safety, he's reading the quarterback's eyes. If a quarterback is confident enough in, number one, the guy running the seam route and in his arm and his ability to get the ball there, he's able to move that DB away so that opening is there and throw the ball back to him. So really, and then all the other stuff that you run. A lot of times in an offense, a certain play is not isolated. There are other plays that come off that same stem that set up that play.
I remember Kareem Adebawale sought you out even though you were on the other side of the ball as a mentor.
Yeah.
And I was wondering are there any young defensive players on the team now that are doing anything similar?
There are a couple. There are a couple in passing. Mostly it's offensive guys right now. The season is still young, but mostly it's offensive guys. Some guys in my room, so some guys, young guys in the receiver room. Even the running back room. I mean, I think as time goes on and as this next week transpires and we go into the season, wherever we all fit on whatever rosters we're on, the opportunity is always there. But that's something that I really cherish, the opportunity to talk to guys and to stay in touch with guys. Willie Snead being a guy that's not here anymore that I've texted with, just see how he's doing. Brandon Cooks, will be back here. There's a number of guys that I've had really the opportunity to form those relationships with, and that's something I really cherish.
Okay, guys, break it down. Head to the press room. We'll bring the remainder of the players
Lightning.
over to you there before the Lightning and Thunder starts.
What's your grade been from these games? The consistency, the highs and lows?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the grade's been pretty good, but you know, like I gotta fix a little couple like details. You know what I mean? Like just alignment, sometimes assignment, my pad level. That's the biggest thing I want to work on. Just my pad level, staying low in the run game.
How rewarding has this summer been for you after it took so long to get to this point? I guess.
Man, for real, I'm just thankful. I just thank God for real. I couldn't thank him, no more than what I already do for real. I just thank him for the opportunity to be here and thank him for the opportunity for allowing me to play again, healthy.
You said you're going to take this like the rest of the games. Have you been on edge at all? I mean, anxious at all about a roster spot?
I mean, yeah, I get anxious, but and when I get anxious, I feel kind of guilty because I feel like I ain't trusting God the way I'm supposed to. Like I said, it was for you, it's for you. And that ain't gonna change. He got you at the end of the day. Whether it be here or there or wherever, he got you.
So are you confident that no matter what, that you'll be playing somewhere this fall?
We just got to see after that last game for real. I don't know. I can't predict the future. I can just, lean on God and trust in him. He got the plan, not me.
How do you feel so far about what you have put on tape?
I mean, I feel confident in what I put on tape. But like I said, it's little things I got to clean up. You know what I mean? Like that's like in that first game, I jumped outside. Can't do that. My pad level getting too high in the run game. Sometimes you can't do that. So like I just got to fix like stuff like that, technique and stuff.
Just out of curiosity, just from how your faith impacts how you play and whatnot. I mean, did you ever have a change in attitude during highs or lows where you let that anxiousness previously take over for you, and then
I would say like I done let it get to me before when I was a younger player, and now for real I just invite him in my heart and allow him to play through me, and I ask that his light shine through my play. That's what I say before the games. You know what I'm saying? Just pray to him and say a little more stuff that's between me and him. But you know what I'm saying? That's kind of my take on things and how I go about it. And I just go out there and try to play physical and nasty and fast.
When did you say that changed for you?
Man, I want to say my senior year at Auburn. And I mean, it was unfortunate I tore my ACL in that last game, but it was kind of like I didn't dwell on it. You know what I'm saying? Like I told Dr. Andrews on the sideline, let's just get the surgery out of the way and let's rehab and see how fast I can get back. You know what I mean? So then I had to have another surgery, so it's like, shoot. But I just kept on trusting him through the process. And it looked like it's paying off a little bit, so, you know what I mean? Just got to keep on trusting him.
Has this been the most rewarding preseason so far, from feeling like you're finally getting healthier and being able to put it together?
Yeah, it has been rewarding, man, and I can't lie to you, it feels good. It feels good to be able to go out there and say, man, I'm healthy. I feel good today. I can run, I can do this, I can jump, I can do what I need to do, I can bend. All that stuff feels good, and it's rewarding, man. I ain't lying to you. I mean, I'm happy as could be.
Thanks, Deborah.
All right, thank y'all.
Have you been paying attention to like how the
We got
Feel good. You know, we're about a week away from the season. You know, still working with the medical staff, just make sure everything's good to go for the regular season. So, you know, I feel good. Just go out there and still getting comfortable out there with the offense and stuff like that. But looking good.
Cam, only you know what you feel like when you're you. How close are you to being Cameron Marriott?
You know, dealing with this for the first time in my career, you know, it's not something I knew what was going to go on, you know, mentally in the future. But right now, I think it's a day-to-day thing, you know, waking up every day, just doing what I can in that day to be the best player I can be. So, you know, every day is a different type of day. You might be frustrated some days, but I continue to push through it, and I look forward to the future.
Because you seem to be getting stronger. Is that something you feel also?
Yeah, like I said, I've been working with the trainers, making sure everything's ready to go. You know, it's a process, but at the same time, seeing progress along that, it's a good sign.
Do you feel like you're 100% or very close to it?
You know, it's hard to tell, but at the same time, I feel good. I feel I'm starting to come around and feel like myself. So, going out there, taking every rep that I can, mentally and physically, that's all important.
Was this comeback harder than maybe you thought it was going to be?
Like I said, I had never dealt with anything like this before in my career. So, you know, moving forward, it's a day-to-day process, and you know, there's ups and downs in the battle, but you know, for the most part, it's turned me into a better player.
Where do you think the chemistry is between you and Drew right now?
Yeah, you know, we spent a lot of time this offseason. Went down to San Diego with him. Put a lot of time after practice with him, getting things together. So, you know, the more the better, you know, the time is going to be for us. So we're out there getting on the right page.
Payton was saying that, you know, you might get a lot of run on Thursday just because you guys in preseason time. I mean, how much work do you think you still need to, you know, feel more comfortable?
You know, whatever Coach Payton feels like I need to get in, you know, to get in the game and do what I need to do. At the same time, I need to go out there and I need to feel comfortable. You know, I need to go out there and, you know, take a couple hits, get a catch. I think I haven't had my first catch since I've been back yet. So, you know, it's going to be good to, you know, go out there and get that and, you know, feel like myself again.
When a team signs you to an offer sheet, like the Saints did, they obviously wanted you very badly. Is there a little extra motivation to prove them that they were correct in their assessment of you?
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, like Drew says it a lot. He says you have to come out here and prove yourself every day, and you know, I take that to heart. And every day I come out here, bust my tail, give it all I got on every play, and you know, whether somebody believes in me or not, I got to make it, you know, myself happy. So at the same time, I know people out there believe in me, and you know, I got to prove them right.
Do you pay attention to the other guys in the room and what they're doing, guys like Carr or Lewis, and I don't want to say compare stats, but just kind of the progress they've made and where they are as well?
We're all brothers, you know, we're a team. So, you know, I wish them well success as well. But, you know, in my situation, I got to really just focus on myself. You know, I got tunnel vision. You know, I got my own battles I'm fighting over here. So, you know, I'll give them pointers when I can. You know, I take things from other people's game. So, you know, all that type of stuff goes into it.
Cam, can you put a percentage on how you're feeling right now, maybe even compared to the start of camp, where maybe you didn't trust your knee as much?
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely made a lot of strides since I first stepped on the field, and you know, going out there, running routes in the game, taking hits, blocking, getting hit in the leg and stuff like that. That's all part of it. So it's really kind of hard to put a number on it, but you know, we're getting close.
Is it a strange feeling playing a team in the preseason that you know you're going to see again in the regular season?
You know, right now we're not going to show everything. So, you know, right now it's kind of trial and error, going out there practicing against teams that, you know, we're going to see in the future. But at the same time, you know, we're going out there to compete every play. So whether it's preseason or regular season, we're going to see each other and we got to compete.
Sorry to keep going. How comfortable do you feel just with everything that they picked up? Do you feel like it's where it needs to be and you feel good to go?
You know, like I said, it's a process every day to day, but going into the regular season, I feel good about myself and where I'm at. And, you know, I've worked with the medical staff and we've done everything that we need to do to make sure this thing's ready to go.
I mean, as far as like the playbook and everything, you feel comfortable with all that stuff right now?
Oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, I mean, you know, every time you switch up offenses, it takes a little bit to figure out the little nuances and ins and outs of like splits and, you know, how coach kind of really wants you to run the route. So I think for the most part I got the playbook down, but, you know, like I said, the little minute details, still cleaning those up. But, you know, hopefully we get that squared away before week 1.
Is that harder just with how many formations and different stuff they do in this offense?
Yeah, I mean, fortunately I kind of played a little bit in that kind of scenario in Chicago, but, you know, Coach Payton is one for attention to detail, you know, and every little detail counts in this offense. So I'm really just working hard to, make the minute details, appear on film.
When you left college, haven't played quarterback, like how long did it take you mentally to transition to say to yourself or be comfortable with being a receiver? And mentally, was that a hurdle for you to clear? Was that something that like took a little bit to give up?
When I first was asked to play receiver, I didn't want to do it, not at all. But after that first practice when I was a receiver and I was going up there mossing people, it didn't really take too long. So, since that point to where I am now, it took a lot of hard work, a lot of studying, watching other guys, how they play. So, I'm still coming into my own. I mean, I feel really good about, my future and, what else I have in the tank.
There's certain nuances that you're able to experience with quarterbacks, just given that you were one yourself, and you might be able to be more receptive or just be able to understand what they're saying quicker than a receiver just haven't played the position.
Yeah, I mean it's a little different playing from outside the box, outside behind, from behind center and seeing the whole field. But at the same time, there is things and coverages I can kind of pick up on and help the other receivers out that they might not see. I can relay the message and kind of helps us play better as a unit. So all that stuff is important. It all matters.
Would you be the emergency QB or?
I don't know. I hope so. I think I'm 1 for 1, so that's good. I don't want to mess that up, but we'll see. Yeah, for sure. All right, thanks, guys. Yep.
How important is Thursday for you?
I mean, very important. I feel like all the games we have, whether it's been preseason or if you talk about a regular season game, they're not important. It's an opportunity to go out there and get better, go out there and showcase your skills. So they're all important.
And as far as, how much progress do you think you've made in the last few weeks? Significant?
I feel like I'm just making my way, continue to get better each and every day. I think that's something that's talked about in our locker room, was that, laying the bricks to the foundation, so keep on stacking that brick so you have a good foundation in order to start the season. With myself coming in here, new to the offense, it was just, one step at a time, baby steps into it at first and then start taking strides into the offense and my knowledge and understanding of what's happening and what we're trying to do.
Was there a point where you said, yes, I can play in this league?
I mean, I felt like that for a long time, not just prior to, I guess, being in the NFL. It was kind of like a mindset, preparing myself before actually being on a team. It was one of those deals I kind of said to myself, like, going to go after it.
I'm sorry, JT, probably a stupid question, but you hadn't had a ton of snaps this preseason. What would you most like to show in this game?
I mean, just operating our offense at a high level, scoring touchdowns. I mean, I think that's how you evaluate as QBs is, does the offense end up in the end zone, right? Whether it be a pass touchdown, rush touchdown, but, just high execution on the offensive side, leading to touchdowns.
Has it been difficult for you to sit and watch this preseason? I mean, you're a guy who's accustomed to playing.
Yeah, but we got a head honcho, Drew Brees at the realm of it, right? And then there's some guys in front of me that have been in this league before me. So I'm just, with that, it's just like when you get an opportunity to go out there, you go out there and try to showcase your skills and, just take advantage of the opportunity that you get. So, I mean, I understood that, knew like coming in, so it wasn't like a huge surprise to me.
JT, your thoughts on Joe Burrow getting the job at LSU? You got to be happy about that, right?
Yeah, that's my guy. I'm happy about him getting a job at LSU. I know he's a hard worker. He's going to do well. I know everybody's kind of like, well, how is he? Is he going to be all right? People ask me. I think Joe Burrow's going to do fine. Don't throw him on the bus. After one game, I don't know how y'all work down here. Work with my guy a little bit. But, I mean, I think he's going to do well.
Can you give us like a quick thumbnail on what you think he does best that will help him win games?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you talk about being a quarterback is elevating the players around you. I feel like that's something that I try to do in my game. You learn that from the greats. Drew does that really well. I mean, you talk about like one of the best of all time, right? So with that, I feel like that's a special thing that you need at quarterback, and I think Joe's able to do that.
Did you and Drew
Coach
have?
Payton was saying that that this game isn't only about like putting on good film for this team, but also potentially for the other 31 teams. Are you thinking about that at all going into this? And just like making sure that you put your best foot forward in this game.
Like I said earlier, that's always something when you go out there and play. It's not like you kind of be like, well, we got next week to, you know, think ahead. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, honestly. So, you know, you go out there, you play, you give it all you can on each and every snap. In each game, you take it like, let's go win this next game, let's go win this next snap. So that's my approach, not necessarily just putting on good film for the other 31 teams, but like just putting good film, period. Like when I watch tape, I like what I see personally.
You and Drew, when you guys first met and started y'all's relationship, did y'all have a connection, just both being from Texas, both playing Texas high school football?
I don't know. I didn't. It was my first guy. I really didn't want to bother him. Really, it was kind of like, I'm gonna watch from the side and try to steal what he does on a routine. But I'm not. I mean, eventually I started asking him and started getting to know each other, and he's a great person, not just a football player. So that's. I mean, when I first came in, it was kind of like, well, don't get in his way, because he has a job to do. That's here to win football games. So I was trying to steal stuff from him here and there, whether it be a routine basis or just playing quarterback. But now it's getting to know each other. He's a great person. He's helping me out.
Thank you.
Thanks, 18.
Appreciate it.
Good luck to you.